Exercise 1. We must recognize that there are new Englishes and that English is a rather complex set of varieties of a living language rather than just a fixed and dead entity like Latin. It also lacks a dominant center. It has more than one center, and people use it to express both national and local identities. In some ways, but only a few, it does resemble Latin in its heyday. However, Latin fragmented. Its center did not hold, and its various speakers, cut off from one another, went their separate ways. The world in which English functions is very different. It is one in which communications, travel, and interpersonal contacts are relatively easy. Mutual intelligibility of the varieties may be threatened on occasion, but it is unlikely to cease. So far as language is concerned, some kind of supra-English identity may triumph over any need to go one's own way with the language in order to assert a local identity. Eventually, there may be a supra-language with mutually intelligible local dialects. Exercise 2. Many people make the mistake of thinking that science just means performing experiments, as though you couldn't get anywhere, at least not anywhere scientifically respectable, without actively manipulating the world in some way. But this is to misunderstand what science is really about. The essence of science is acquiring knowledge through testing hypotheses. Setting up a controlled experiment, in other words, attempting to manipulate the outcome and make things happen when and where you want them to, is certainly one way of demonstrating the accuracy of a hypothesis and its predictions, but it is not the only way. Predictions can also be tested very powerfully by pitting them against future observations as they unfold naturally, with no intervention on anyone's part. For example, astronomers who make precise predictions about the appearance of a comet and specify the year, month, day, and even the exact hour when you will be able to see it have not done, indeed could not do, an experiment. But provided the comet does appear when expected, no one is going to accuse them of being unscientific. Exercise 3. Seeds have been a site of struggle over the entire agro-food chain. Given the inherent reproducibility and variability of seeds, their natural characteristics have provided an opportunity for farmers to improve varieties through selective breeding, while developing their skills in cultivation methods. Capitalist strategies have sought to uncouple seeds from farmers' control, to commoditize natural resources, and thus to make farmers dependent upon a separate supply industry. As a major step in commoditizing nature, breeders developed hybrid seeds that cannot breed true, so that farmers have to buy them anew each season. Citing the supposed benefits of hybrid vigor, U.S. agricultural research prioritized such varieties rather than improving open-pollinated ones. For seeds that could still be bred and improved by farmers, proprietary control was extended by various laws restricting farmers' rights to sell, or even to reproduce, their own grain for seed. Especially in the United States, farmers have also been locked into dependency through other purchased inputs, grain contracts, debt, and other means. In a capitalist society, as seeds have been turned into commodities, farmers have been deprived of the right to seeds. Exercise 4. When it comes to food, our brains did not evolve to think about how eating cheeseburgers, French fries, and soft drinks will, over the years, increase our chances of becoming obese and suffering physical ailments. The tech revolution brings us the internet, smartphones, and social media. But our species did not evolve under conditions in which thinking in terms of possible, vague, distant consequences, such as diminished attention and impaired relationship, would affect survival. Our daily lives are rapidly changing because of advances in technology, and it is likely that it is beyond our capacity to rationally or accurately evaluate the long-term potential effects of technology on our lives. We really have no idea how technology will advance in the coming decades, how we will be using it, or the effects that it will have on us. It's just too complicated, vague, and distant to motivate us to alter our current behavior. In a manner similar to the way in which we avoid tackling global climate change or avoiding junk food, we tend to push any of those concerns to the back burner. They just don't register as relevant threats to our day-to-day well-being. Exercises 5 through 7. My sister Norma has always been a hard worker, earning the title My Big Girl from our mother, while I was always labeled Lazy Joan. Norma deserved her title. She went to work part-time when she was barely 12 years old. When I started high school in September 1946, she and I walked to school together each morning. The 45-minute walk to school soon became less fun, as October brought fall rains and cold air down from the north. Mother kept telling me to put on my winter coat. Its sleeves were too short, and the waist of the coat was nearly under my armpits. Norma and I were just 22 months apart in age, and had finally reached equal size, so there were no hand-me-down clothes. Actually, Norma was having the same problem I was, with her coat being too small. Mother kept telling me that she didn't have the money for a new coat, and I kept refusing to wear the little girl's coat to school. I stomped, I pouted, I begged. It didn't do any good. After several punishments, I finally put on the old coat and started out to school. By early November, the snow had started to fall, the north wind swirling it around my bare head as I walked to and from school. Mother was already planning our annual family Thanksgiving dinner. She had just gone over the guest list and menu with me. Then I made the mistake of asking her the wrong question. How is it that you can buy all those groceries to feed everyone, but not buy me a new winter coat? Young lady, it isn't always about you and what you think you need. Mother scolded and promptly sent me to my room for my selfish attitude. Norma came home from work at 11 o'clock that evening. I could hear her voice full of enthusiasm when she said, "I'm home." I could see Norma moving about. I had difficulty breathing. She had on a beautiful new coat. Hot tears stung my eyes. Just then, Mother called to me. "Come and see what Norma has bought with her paycheck." I wiped away the envy tears. She ran into Mother's bedroom and returned with a big box and handed it to me. Inside was the most beautiful coat I had ever seen, the new short A-line style with an attached hood. Exercise 8. The fact that metaphor use is a natural and universal part of human dialogue has occupied philosophers and scholars for centuries. And the question of how metaphors operate and how they relate to language more generally is by no means new. A seminal analysis of this was done by Aristotle hundreds of years before the Common Era, and his writings on the subject still inform the debate to this day. In Aristotle's definition, metaphor consists in giving the thing a name that belongs to something else. He based his argument on the given assumption that a word has a real meaning and that metaphors, amongst other figures of speech, are a modification of the more genuine, conventional sense. This fundamental notion that metaphors are a secondary linguistic function has dominated our view of metaphors ever since. We see language as being basically literal, and metaphors as being a particular development of this literality, a kind of specialist tool suited for artistic purposes, such as poetry or rhetorics. Exercise 9. One of the more subtle positions on the relationship between the conscious mind and the material world is property dualism. Property dualists accept that materialists are correct in supposing there is only one sort of substance, physical substance. But they suppose that material substances can have both physical and mental properties. and they suppose the mental properties are distinct from and cannot be reduced to physical properties. Some suppose, for example, that human brains possess two quite different sorts of properties. Purely physical properties, such as weighing 1.8 kilograms, having two hemispheres, containing neurons, and mental properties such as experiencing pain, thinking about cheese, remembering Vienna. The latter properties, say the property dualist, are extra properties that exist in addition to all the various physical properties possessed by that brain. Notice that, while the property dualist agrees with the materialist that there is only one sort of substance, material substance, they nevertheless agree with the substance dualist that the facts about our conscious minds are facts over and above all the physical facts about us. Exercise 10. Intelligent technology can help us overcome many cultural and societal obstacles. If we build them correctly, artificially intelligent machines can become mediators and arbiters, providing communal guidance we can rely upon to be impartial. A group of politically neutral programmers have formed a coalition to build a truth machine. 30 of the biggest and most influential tech companies have authored the Digital Geneva Accord, subscribing to a set of principles that commits them to not assist any governments to mount cyber attacks against innocent civilians or enterprises from anywhere. If, and these are significant ifs, we can regulate intelligent technology for algorithmic transparency of intelligent technology and infuse explainability into it, and if we can code our intelligent creations to be aware of our beliefs and desires, we have a path forward. This awareness is known as the theory of mind, the ability of one mind to know what's in another's. If we can do this, we may be able to reconcile our divides, building and trusting our machines to be more fair and seeing more clearly the areas of compromise that profit more than just the few. If we can make artificial intelligence work in a more open and honest way and understand human thought processes, we can use it as a medium for integrating human society by defeating unfairness. Exercise 11. Let's say a toddler draws a picture with crayons and is very proud of it. He's motivated by the esteemed need to show it to a caregiver. If he doesn't get the reaction he hopes for, the discouragement might be so disturbing that he unconsciously compromises by not working as hard on his next drawing, not drawing at all, or not letting himself feel proud about future drawings. It might hurt at first to give up the pride and joy of drawing, but he'll quickly get used to repression. As he grows up, he might not know why he's embarrassed by praise or why he's disparaging of his own work and doesn't strive to realize his true potential. All he knows is that being judged, being noticed at all, is deeply uncomfortable. Exercises 12 through 14. The station was in uproar. Charlene's softball team was going to play in a tournament in Cape Town, and all of the team members were traveling in a train that had been specially chartered for all the teams from Port Elizabeth. All the players were waiting on the platform with their sports bags. Miss Cohen, the coach of Charlene's team, was getting ready to let the girls know which train coach they would be in. Charlene hoped that she would be allowed to travel in the comfortable green first-class coach. The green coach was quite smart and fancy, while others were more run down. Miss Cohen started reading out the names and the number of the coach the girls had to get in. Children yelled and shouted when they heard their names and rushed toward the train as though it was already pulling out of the station. Above the noise, Charlene heard her name. Charlene Rankin, carriage 6, compartment C. She groaned. She was going to have to travel all the way to Cape Town in the scruffy blue coach right in front of her. She grumbled as she picked up her things and scarcely greeted her mother, who put a box of cookies into her hands. She was, however, pleased to see that her best friend Stephanie was in the same compartment. Stephanie, who was also the team captain, beamed with joy. "Nice that Amandla School got the green carriage, don't you think?" she said, as she put her bag under the seat. "It's great that they get the chance to experience a little luxury." For the first time, Charlene thought of the run-down apartments where many of these kids lived and the comfortable homes she and her teammates lived in. She didn't reply immediately, but when Stephanie started singing loudly, "We are the champions and we're gonna win," she sang along heartily.